Dear students, today I will explain you the lesson The Lost Dollar, written by Stephen Leacock. Stephen Leacock is famous for his humorous writing, which marked by his keen observation and deep understanding of human character. Every one of us have friends. The friend is a person whom you value the most, someone you have fun with, someone you trust, and someone in whom you have confidence. The first person you call when you get good news or want to go out for your favorite food. A friend who stands up for you. They do everything they can to make sure you stay safe. They don't care about others, but they are always there with you. They are honest with you always. They are loyal and accept you for during good and bad times. The story Lost Dollar is one such kind of story. The story Lost Dollar goes like this. Mr. Todd, a friend of writer, borrowed $1 from him and never gave it back. Mr. Todd borrowed it to pay for his taxi when he was leaving for Bermuda. From Hamilton, Bermuda, Mr. Todd sent a letter to the writer. The writer thought it might contain his dollar, but it was just a letter in which he wrote about the weather of Bermuda. 3 weeks later, Mr. Todd came back and writer met him at the railway station, thinking that it would be a nice gesture on his part. The writer says he did not do that because of the dollar. However, he referred to it by suggesting that they should take a taxi to the club. He thought the word taxi might make his friend recall the dollar. Later, the writer asked him what currency was used in Bermuda and whether the American dollar went at par with it. But all these hints fell flat on Mr. Todd. The entire evening they spent talking about Bermuda. In a few days, the writer came to the conclusion that Mr. Todd had completely forgotten about the dollar. The writer kept hinting at it by asking him how much he had spent on his trip and whether he had settled after his trip. One night the writer became hopeful when he heard his friend say that Poland would never repay his debts, but it did not cross Mr. Todd's mind. He also had not paid back his debt. During all this, the writer harbored no ill words towards his friend, though he found it hard to forget that dollar. Later, the writer thought that he was not getting repaid because he himself never repaid. This made him recall the people. He began to cancel the names of people who had lent him less than $1 and those who lent him for an emergency. He planned to repay only those who lent him $1 for a taxi when he was starting for Bermuda. In other words, blind to his own faults, he was going to correct only that action which would reverse his fate and help him get his dollar back. However, he has no sense of shame to think of starting a movement back to honesty for encouraging the others to pay all those dollars that were borrowed in moments of need. The author leave a final comment in humor that he did not want Todd to see the copy of the book with this story and read his story. The moral of the story is that, small or big, one should return the money owed to others. That amount may be important for the lender. Further, it gives a great pain to the lender if the borrower totally forgets about money borrowed. An honest man remember the help done by his friends.